of gin is something called aquavit. Worth looking up. I think it's delightful. When you drink it, you sort of feel the essence of a preserved herring. In any case, back to gin. Gin became known as a British drink. It was very popular in the 17th century and moving all the way forward until today, but it has its origins on the continent. And specifically, the first reference in writing is in the 13th century in the Netherlands, or in Flanders, in Bruges. And they have Jennifer there, a Dutch version of gin, which is very, very popular.
Geneva.
And what happened in the 17th century is it became very, very cheap to make gin in England. And people, it was so cheap that they actually flavored it with turpentine. And it came around during the Restoration with William and Mary. And it also became known as the Protestant drink. Now, there was a gin craze that literally happened from something like 1695 to the early 1730s. It was all the rage. And in London, there were more than 8,000 gin shops in the city of London alone in this period of time. You might remember William Hogarth. If I were doing a proper PowerPoint, you would see this amazing illustration that he's most famous for, and that's Gin Street and Beer Lane. The BBC later called it, and I quote, the most potent anti-drug poster ever. Because Gin Lane, these amazing, beautifully dramatic illustrations of people like skeletons dying in the streets, of alcoholism rampant because of gin, and how jolly and productive people who drank beer were as a contrast. And so moving forward, gin, English, tonic water. Tonic water, tonic is a health drink. It's defined as such in the dictionary. It's a cure-all, a health remedy, a health drink. And tonic water is known to be infused with quinine. And quinine is a remedy for malaria. To this day, malaria is a disease that is rampant all over the world. Hundreds of millions of people get it. 400,000 people or more died of it in 2018. Fevers, it's horrible, and it can recur. It is a single-celled organism passed along by mosquitoes in the equatorial regions of the world. Quinine, even though it's not the very first choice as a remedy against malaria, is still considered by the World Health Organization as an essential medicine to this day. Now, quinine is very bitter, and in the 1820s, the British soldiers began mixing quinine into water, into tonic, in order to make it go down. The doctors had it. Quinine, actually, more history on the quinine. It's from Peru. It's from Peru, from the bark of a cinchona tree. And it has been used as an anti-malarial in bark form since then. And in the 1820s, they finally figured out how to isolate it. The Spanish brought it back to Europe in the 1630s. Quinine being bitter, the British soldiers who had colonies, this is why it's a colonial, very, very British drink. We've got the gin, we've got the tonic in India. They mixed it with water. They mixed it with wine. They mixed it with lemon, lots and lots of sugar, and gin. And why gin? British soldiers had a gin ration. That's right. They got gin along with their paychecks. So they were able to mix that all together, and they got really used to it. It became a beloved beverage. Nowadays, our tonic water, and I've got a diet tonic water. Why diet? Because our commercial companies mix sugar already into our tonic water. And quinine isn't needed anymore as a remedy. This is more of that lovely bitter flavor that we've come to enjoy in the cocktail. And so it's a much smaller amount in here. Although if you drank gallons and gallons of this, it could still be therapeutic. But don't do it, guys. Go to a doctor if you're interested in quinine. It can be dangerous. It has lots of side effects. It is also a remedy for restless leg syndrome. Don't ask me why. It just is, for deep vein thrombosis and things like that. So we don't need to add sugar anymore because this is very sweet, the tonic water that we have. I have an artisanal gin from a local really great distillery in my town. I am part of their distillery club, so I'm going to give them a plug. They're called Young and Yonder Spirits, and this is the Harbor of Broken Souls. You can see all of the sailors in this beautiful illustration that kind of reminds me of Hogarth, and you can get that. I also have so many distillers in my area. I'm in Northern California, and this is Sip Song Spirits from a town over. So yeah, let's do this. Let's make the gin and tonic. Quintessential British drink from, them colonizing the world, and needing to fight off malaria. And because they had gin, because it was cheap. So I've already put ice in my glass. Now, this is traditionally a highball drink, and most of the time in bars, you're going to get it in a highball. I don't have any at home. I have a lot of stemless wine glasses, and I like them because I can drink spirits out of them, like they're a really good size for whiskey, and wine, because I break stemmed wine glasses all the time. So yeah, it's sturdy. It has the right volume. Let's just put it this way. And I want to chill my glass in advance. I've got a lemon, not a lime. Please excuse me, purists. I started drinking it with lemon because my very first gin and tonic was in the tiny, tiny town of West Baltimore, Ireland, in County Cork. And it became the first spirit I ever began to enjoy because I was a lightweight in college and only drank beer. So without further ado, I'm going to roll this. And rolling a lemon or a lime that you use it's great because it starts breaking up the oils and it juices it a little bit in advance. It's a really good idea when you're making a cocktail. Roll your citrus beforehand. Really get the scents out and the oils, break them up. And I'm going to cut a wedge out for myself. And I'm going to, because I like putting a few drops in advance. Some people only like half a squeeze. I'm going to do a sort of 3/4 squeeze in here to sort of flavor my ice. I'm going to save the rest for my garnish. And the ratio that you're going to use for any gin and tonic is about double the tonic to the gin. So I'm going to put in, let's say, I'm going to put in 1.5 ounces. So I've got my jigger here. See that you can see it. Can we see it? We can see it. So I'm going to put in 1.5. There we go. I'm really sticking to my sizes here. Thank you, gin. Oh, and I have enough for a second one, maybe. And now I'm going to put in 3 ounces of tonic water. Now, there's a couple ways of doing this. A lot of people are going to sort of just pour it, eyeball it liberally, and do it on the side of the glass, almost like when you're pouring a beer, because you want to keep the carbonation in there and not sort of destroy it and move it around a little bit. You can dump it in. They make these at bars all the time. I'm going to opt for the latter because I'm short on time and it's easier. So that's 1, 2, and 3. I'm also going to just give it a really gentle stir. So I want to keep that carbonation in there. And here's a little trick I learned recently. You can garnish with a tiny, tiny little bit of mint. I really like this. So just do a little bit of a crush, just a little bit, just for the aromatics, really. I'm going to just drop it in the top. I'm not going to mix it. And then I'm going to sort of douse the little edge of my glass here with some lemon. I'm going to do that. And I've got my gin and tonic, you guys. I'm going to say cheers. And I'm so excited to hear the writers coming up. Enjoy your drink. Enjoy the literature. Thank you to Gothic Func.